Greetings all. I am going to read you a blog post from Lori Hodgson in her book on page 154, From a Mother's Heartbreak. How Scientology Destroyed My Family. Lori Hodgson. On July 31st, 2015, I decided to write my second blog post. Back around the year 1998, I had a bad feeling I was in for a rough road. My son Jeremy was only around 5 years old, and my daughter Jessica was turning 8. I was the preschool director of Los Gatos Academy. The preschool was a non-denominational school, but the upper school, where my kids attended, was a Scientology school. I remember clearly this one alarming afternoon. I saw a parent crying, and I asked, what was wrong? She replied, my daughter is leaving soon for the Sea Org, which is the elite branch of Scientology, where members are required to sign a billion-year contract to dedicate their lives to work for Scientology. It's not elite. I mentioned to her, if you don't want her to go, why don't you just say no? She said, I can't do that. I was confused. I said, why? She replied, I can't talk about it. See what they do? I knew at that moment that I needed to be very concerned with my own children when they reached their teenage years. I didn't know at the time that if you're a Scientology parent and you disagree with Scientology's recruiting your kids for staff or the Sea Org, that it's almost impossible to fight it. This is why this parent told me she couldn't talk about it. I found out this firsthand when I had to go through the recruiting of my own children. I will go into this in more detail in a later part. That same evening, I discussed with my first husband, he's the culprit, by the way, Jessica and Jeremy's father, what had happened with this parent and her daughter. After I told him what had occurred, I listened to what he had to say. He told me that he didn't see anything wrong with children joining the Sea Org. He thought it was a good thing. Then he shared with me that his ex-wife's son, Chris Leak, joined the Sea Org when he was only around 12 years old. 12 years old. He continued on to tell me that Chris went over the rainbow. That's an MK Ultra term, by the way, which is a secret place in Scientology, and even his own mother didn't know where her son was. I told my husband that I thought that was absolutely crazy, that I would never allow our children to do that. I felt bad for Chris's mom. Little did I know, my husband was not on the same page as me. I was shocked by his reaction and couldn't think with losing our children to the Scientology Sea Org. He then told me that his stepson, Chris, wonder how old this Chris was when he got married, married Roanne, who was L. Ron Hubbard's granddaughter. Shortly after this time, we met Roanne and Chris, but had to keep it on the down low. My ex was acting very secretive about the whole meeting. A few months later, I observed these Sea Org recruiters wearing their naval uniforms, showing up on the campus. They were actually recruiting the young high school children to drop out of school and join the Sea Org. Yeah, and the government knew nothing about this, did they? I really started worrying and thought to myself, I have to prevent this from happening with my own children when they reach high school age. I guess my worry and concern for my children were well justified, and at that time, I had no idea of the nightmare that was ahead of us. So that's it for tonight regarding this book. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.